It's the dress. Okay, before we start, we are going out after, so it was either this outfit or we're not filming at all, so here I am. I like to think of myself as a woman of her word. I am a planner. I am not spontaneous. The slightest detour in an itinerary, quite frankly, makes me nauseous. Which is why I am just as surprised as you may be to find that I am actually a bit of a mood reader rather than a planned one, which I'm sure we've discussed here before. Maybe. With everything else in my life taking such predetermined steps, I sometimes like to leave my next read up to chance. This is why I normally choose a list of TBR every month that has some variety. Therefore, I can pick up the next book on the list in a certain genre I'm craving in that moment. This last month, however, I was craving everything. And, I binged a little bit. Everyone, and welcome back to the Neverland Book Club. I am well aware that my channel has just become a never-ending loop of TBR and wrap-up videos, but you know what? That's mostly what I watch on Booktube anyway, and why not just create what you'd like to watch as well? So, hello, and welcome to Nadia's selfish hour of content creation. I hate that phrase, content creation. Anyway, back to our regularly scheduled and predictable programming. The month of April was just one reading accomplishment after another, in addition to some writing accomplishments as well. Now, during my many reading hours, I was interrupted by an email from Patreon saying I had a new patron, Shirley Blee. Blee? Hello, and thank you, Shirley. I actually forgot about Patreon, like completely. To be honest, it never really picked up when I published it at first, and then I just forgot to mention it in videos, and although I did post a few things here and there in the beginning, I kind of just let it sit, collecting internet dust. So thank you, Shirley, for reminding me of this corner of the internet, and in your honor as my one and only current patron, I will be posting the prologue to my new book. I didn't tell you yet. As a tier 2 benefit, I have a book that I am writing very, very slowly. It has a prologue, and that's about it. That's not true. It has a lot. Anyway, this past month I was able to outline the entirety of the novel, and as I have discussed, I love having and sticking to some sort of a plan. I intend to use all of you, yes, I said I'm gonna use you, as inspiration to continue this novel and someday hopefully actually finish it. Who knows? Because what satisfaction to hold up a completed copy to present it to you all, dear viewers. I'm using that mental image as motivation, so if you'd like to read a little excerpt from the novel, go over on Patreon and check it out. Sweat and Honey is also theirs. Yeah. Alright, on to April wrap-up. I had planned a quiet reading month for April, however, the Groundhog Day experience that is life planted an unyielding urge in me to just pick up book after book after book to escape the repetitive nature that is adulthood. So I have 6 titles to share with you all today, and let's be honest, I have probably definitely already started and may have finished a title or 4 of my May TBR list, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. Again. Okay, first we have The Near Witch by V.E. Schwab. This was disappointing. This was, she released a breath she didn't realize she was holding, which is actually written in here, if you can believe it. And we all know that is the one line you just do not write in a novel. I don't know why we all collectively hate that line so much, but I'm on the bandwagon for some reason. This story, much like most of Schwab's stories, is mostly vibes. As much as I adore Schwab's prose, I do believe her stories actually take a back seat to her presented vibes. The Near Witch was a children's fairy tale, a fable told to the village younglings to get them to sleep. Why do we tell children scary stories before bed? To keep them in line, that's why. Probably. I had mentioned after reading Gallant that I wanted to read something of Schwab's earlier works, and what better way to witness a writer's evolution than to just chain smoke her early work right after her latest novel. Don't smoke. It's quite impressive and inspirational to see how far Schwab has come in her writing journey. Not that The Near Witch was bad, it was fun, I enjoyed the vibes, but juxtaposed beside her more popular titles such as Addie LaRue, it's just no contest. It truly feels like the grown-up version of the same person. I recommend this book to anyone who is already familiar with Schwab and would like to hear a younger voice of hers. However, I don't recommend this as an introduction to her work. Save that for Addie. Next, we have Ace of Spades, another disappointment. Little. At this point, I was beginning to get upset with April for hyping me up just to let me down. I wanted so very much to enjoy this book. It had everything I was craving, with the dark academia and the mystery that needs solving and the high stakes reputation. I don't know, I couldn't get into it as much as I had intended. I did listen to this one, which may have been a factor in my distaste for the main female character. I think the narrator's accent was way too Valley Girl theatrics. You see what I did there? It's annoying, isn't it? Even so, the main characters in novels need to stop being so young when it comes to big issues like the ones presented in this particular story. And I may be wrong, but I just don't see high school students fighting the deep-rooted systemic racism of secret societies that date back hundreds of years and across the country as they did in this novel. I'm conflicted with the story because I appreciated the message. It instilled in me all of the emotions and outrage that it should have, and I do feel as though it is a very important story to be told and understood by all readers. I just, for some reason, found the main female character just really annoying. Which unfortunately took me out of the story itself, which is very good. So I do recommend reading Ace of Spades if you do want that dark academia fix with a bit of woke systemic rage. And not the audiobook. Maybe that will help. Next we have the Spanish love deception. Again, with a disappointment. See, when you advertise something as an enemies to lovers trope, it helps if the two characters are actually enemies at some point. Not a misunderstanding to lovers. That's not nearly as heated, as saucy, as taboo, in your face, naughty naughty. And that's what I thought I was getting with this one, but no. Our two main characters of this Lifetime movie special starring actor number 1 and actor number 2 were never really enemies. They just misunderstood each other from the beginning. This is an example of grumpy sunshine trope. She's a bubbly extrovert and he's a broody square who is a not-so-surprising freak in the sheets. Everything is expected and satisfying and repetitive. Same thing over and over, but we still love it because of its delivery. We love the comfort in knowing we are going to get exactly what we paid for, even though I read it for free on Libby. So I do actually recommend this book for anyone with a contemporary romance itch to just scratch. And you know what? It's going to feel like any other itch that's been satisfyingly scratched before. It's not a new or exciting feeling, it's satisfying nonetheless. All right, now here's where the month of April took a turn from bad to oh so much better. Song of Achilles. Now, I didn't cry my eyes out. This book did not break me as I thought it might. Another book did that this month, and we'll get to that in a minute. But it wasn't this one. This one just simply left me incredibly melancholic. It left me with a small fracture in my heart that I thought could simply be mended with a good night's rest and a hug, but then I found the characters sticking with me afterward. I did not expect the story to be told from the perspective of Patroclus. We see Achilles from the eyes of the one that loved him the most, and isn't that just the perfect lens to view a character by? Not by an omniscient perspective, not from a skewed first-person account with body or personality dysmorphia, but by the one character in which the light of you shines upon. This was a love story I did not expect, one of friendship and passion and devotion and unwavering loyalty that exceeds the vulgarity of the physical world. This is a beautifully written and beautifully told story of unexpected companionship. Miss Miller, well done. I recommend this to anyone and everyone who enjoys flowery prose with a truly poetic sense of imagery and lovely historical fiction, Greek lore, you know. One of the sweetest stories of heartbreak I've ever read or even heard of. If perhaps your day is going just a bit too well and you're suspicious that it might take a turn, just go ahead and read this book. You'll still have a good day, but you'll also be upset in a way you'll be able to understand, which is complicated and nuanced, and can you tell this book gave me a lot of conflicting feelings? Like, I was very sad, but not sad enough to cry, but I was happy about being sad. It's misery porn. I love it. Okay, here's where I began to deviate from the pre-procured list. Well, perhaps not deviate exactly, since these are all books I had intended to read in May and were already waiting on my shelf. I simply couldn't help but pick up one after another since I got through the previously mentioned books basically in the first week of April. First, we have my very first book of the month pick, and of course I needed to read my April book in the month of April. Kaikeyi by Vaishnavi Patel. This debut early edition novel follows the life story of Kaikeyi, I think I'm saying it right. An ancient Indian queen who revolutionized the social dynamics of Indian culture and defied the gods in an attempt to further the feminist agenda. We love a literal feminist queen. As the third and youngest wife of a liberal king, she was able to do much more than wear pants in the town square. Her upbringing, mostly influenced by her twin brother, she quite literally sees the mirrored imbalance of her own duties when compared to her twins. This historical fiction was a tale of triumph, a story of overcoming the misfortune of being born female in a man's world, and the power of telling your story. The novel is categorized as fantasy, however, it reads so real, so raw, so fluid, it personally felt more like historical fiction, even with the chapters of fantastical realism. This book writes the importance of women in the agenda of female equality, specifically women who find themselves mothers to men, because it really does start there. This book teaches you that the influences your child has when they are young shape the person they will become, and if you're not careful, the wrong things may be whispered in their ears. Yeah. The main character's strength comes from much more than being a woman or a mother. Her strength also comes from being an ally, an advocate, a friend, a sibling, and a person of unquestionable virtue. I recommend this book to fantasy readers and historical fiction readers alike. I believe you can take so much away from reading this book from either viewpoint. And this is also my way of telling you that I joined the club. I got the blue boxes. Pablo ruined this one though. Okay, and last on our April list, the very much expected 5-star read that I am now kicking myself for waiting so long to actually read it, The Golden Book of Regret and Life Lessons, the love story I didn't know I desperately needed to read. Easily one of my top 5 of this year. 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I do not easily cry when it comes to books. When it comes to remembering my Netflix password or any other minor inconvenience in my life, that's another story. But this book, I think the last time I cried that hard because of a book, it was The Fault in Our Stars, and I was a literal teenager, so yeah, that's the threshold. Since then, only A Little Life made me cry, and that was more from panic, and Anxious People made me cry, and that was more from self-realization and the constant wave of epiphany. But this, oh, Evelyn. I couldn't put it down. From the fluidity and cadence of each paragraph to the actual way the story is told, I mean the breakdown from husband to go through the life story of this one remarkable woman, and the reminder that what you see is never truly the truth. Really the truth. Truly the truth, truly! That the perceived image of a person is nothing but the surface level in which they wish to share. Old Hollywood or today on Instagram, it's all the same. And the fact that good and evil is not so black and white, and yes, we know that, we learn that through many different stories. However, in a fantasy story, these lines are more distinct in the sand. The line between good and evil is crossed with the character's actions. It is not a dotted line like it is in real life. That is the difference here. Was Evelyn Hugo a bad person? A good person? How many redeemable qualities are needed to rectify the worst action of your life? This book gave me so much more feelings than I was prepared for. While reading it at work, a coworker asked me if I was okay, and I just, yeah, no. While reading one morning while Pablo was still asleep, I couldn't help but yell, "Are you f***ing kidding me?" It just slipped out. It startled him awake. Sorry. I simply couldn't contain my emotions while reading, which is why I cried. I cried at the Stop laughing at me! I cried for all the Evelyn Hugos that deserved so much more than they got, even though to the world they seemed too good to be true. Whew, okay, you're still here. Thank you for watching. I hope you stick around because we are about to discuss May's TBR, and yes, again, I know May is already well underway, but to be fair, this list is more of a currently reading rather than a to be read, so potato tomato. Okay, first we have Crescent City, House of Earth and Blood by Miss Mass. After the roller coaster of a reading month from enjoying and disliking different titles, I want a bit of guaranteed gratification. I want high-intensity fantasy with 700 plus page count and world building up the wazoo. And so I have chosen this one. With everyone raving about the release of House of Sky and Breath, I had been looking forward to starting another Mass series soon, so here I go. I'm going on an adventure. Next we have The Kiss Quotient by Helen Huang. I'm not giving up. I am not giving up on my quest to find an original contemporary romance novel. This one caught my eye due to its unique pairing and honestly relatable main character. An autistic woman seeks the help of a male escort to help her navigate the complexities of having an adult sex life. And this was relatable. And I am not a male escort. This seems different, and I hope it is. Spoiler alert, it is. I've already started reading it. But I'll have to complete it to give you a valid, full opinion, so. Alright, next we have 7 Days in June by Tia Williams, following one contemporary romance with another. A lot. 7 Days in June tells the story of two authors basically writing secret love letters to each other through their novels over the course of years. That concept just speaks to me on an unrealistic and over-the-top romantic level. I must know the full story immediately. Alright, one more contemporary for this month and then straight back to fantasy. We have Normal People by Sally Rooney. Since this one is so short and it's just all over social media with how great it is, I can't imagine taking too long to get through it. Coming-of-age romance with some drama and misunderstandings? Sign me up. I imagine it will be a fun little morning read. Okay, back to fantasy. City of Brass. My people. The desert dwellers, the wind of Arabian Nights spraying you in the face with the coarse sands of the motherland. There aren't many fantasy novels written in the world of Middle Eastern culture, but if I find more, you know I will just eat them up, one after another. City of Brass by S.A. Chakraborty is the first novel in the Devabad trilogy. I hope I'm saying these correctly, otherwise I'd be very disappointed in myself. Devabad? Devabad? Devabad. It has magic, it has history, it has culture, it has literal flying carpets, palm readers, czars, Ottoman nobles. Set in 18th century Cairo, I cannot wait to be completely immersed in the fantastical world of my own ancient culture. And last on this list for May, What Lies Beyond the Veil by Harper L. Woods. This novel is plastered all over social media as something to read if you've already enjoyed ACOTAR, and well, that includes me. Fated mates, fae fairies, magic, sword fighting, victimized female leads who overturn the patriarchy. I am in. Let's do it. I didn't want to go into too much detail with the stories on this month's TBR list because as much as I do appreciate you still watching, I also respect your time. Because if you're watching this, that means you're not reading. And we can't have that for much longer, can we? Pablo was asleep. And so that's all I have for you all today. Thank you so much for watching and joining me. Today's shout out goes to John Saxon Gitno for Life, otherwise known as my #1 fan from Australia. Hello John, and thank you for your numerous wonderful and sweet comments. These truly make my day. They make me smile, so thank you for taking the time out of your day to write such lovely things under my videos. Alright, I am off to, well, add more to this long, long, never-ending list. I am insatiable when it comes to stories, and you get it. You get me. That's why you're here. Comment below if you're a mood reader or a planned reader, or like me, a little bit of both. I'm also off to go have a night out on the town. Just one night, that's all I can stand. And then straight back home. Stay lost, keep reading, gift your mother a book for Mother's Day.